The Sober Sojourns 12 Steps and Passport Stamps podcast features recovered men and women who are practicing members of Alcoholics Anonymous. We do not claim to represent Alcoholics Anonymous or any 12-step program. We are friends gathered to discuss our experience in recovery. The discussions in this podcast represent our own individual experiences and opinions as of today.
You can reach us at our email address, sobersojournspodcast@gmail.com, or Instagram at OyveyAA and at Sally. We would love to hear from you. Our aim is to try and be helpful by sharing the realities of our recovery, how we have recovered, and are trudging the road of happy destiny wherever we go.
Pirate Mike and OyveyAA presents The Sober Sojourns 12 Steps and Passport Stamps podcast.
Welcome back to Sober Sojourns, 12 Steps and Passport Stamps. I am OyveyAA.
And I'm Pirate Mike.
This is amazing. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay that we're doing this again. It feels like, I know we say this a lot, that it feels like it's been a while since we've seen each other, but it does feel like it's been a while since we've seen each other.
I feel like this is very confusing to anyone's listening because they listen to it like week after week.
Yeah.
We have not recorded this in order. We had big life stuff happen. Like we're always, yeah. So this is the first season was released week after week. So maybe there is a coherent narrative, but here, I don't know. When was the last time we saw each other? May? Like, I'm not even sure.
May of like 5 years ago. No.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oyvey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is good. So, as per our planning meeting, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, me and Pirate Mike just spent an hour talking about like podcast logistics. So this is the vibe we're going into this. Also, there's a day to be had. So this is going to be a quick one, a quickie, as one might say, right?
As one might say, yeah. And thank you for indulging me with this short episode.
Of course.
When we talked about it, so something that I wanted to spend time putting in recording form is how did you put it? Like the feelings that come up, like when is it time to go? Which I think or move on, right? Which is I think something that you and I at least can definitely relate to. You stay in a place, it's okay for a while, and then something happens. There's just this like creeping feeling that it's time to move on to the next. What does that look like for you?
Oof. It's interesting because we can look at it from different perspectives. We can look at it from, the the backpacker perspective, which I have, and then the just, moving somewhere perspective of just, I'm going to live in another place, which I'm not sure where I'm at between those two lines. But I have been in one place for a long time. I'm coming up on a year in the same spot. I mean, here and there I like travel, but not really during this time. Again, I'm abroad from where I'm at, from my country of origin, but I've been here for a year. And it's been creeping in this feeling. I think it's restlessness. Is that how you say the word? Yeah. I feel restless, and there's a general thing, and I think again it's very much one's relationship with a higher power of like, yeah, okay, is it time, right? It might be time. And there's other different variables, right? There's the money aspect of it,
Yeah.
You can dream all you want, but you need the finances, the work aspect of it. What's it going to look like logistically? So there's a lot of things that need to come together. But I found that there's never a good time. It's always uncomfortable. Things have been going smoothly for me in thinking about transitioning, and then I'm like, it's going too smoothly. And now today I realize it's going to be really uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, great. This means it's good. If it's really uncomfortable, it means it's gonna be okay.
Does that make it seem or feel more real when it's like uncomfortable as opposed to when it's just a dream? Then everything seems like it's going. It seems less real when it's too smooth in your head.
Ooh, that's an interesting interpret. Perhaps it's that. It's
Mm.
like, yeah, exactly. You said that it's like too interesting way to put it. That if it's like, well, I don't believe things are gonna happen until they happen. That's been a
Okay.
thing for me, especially in the last 3 years of traveling, of like, until I get on the plane, I don't believe I'm gonna get on the plane. Like, especially
Oh,
when it's something I want. I have no, yeah, yeah, 100%, dude, 100%.
not until you're actually on the plane.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think, I mean, I've experienced similar moments, but it feels more, if I remember, like, oh, it's real. Like this is actually happening. So there's
Mm,
some excitement that goes with it. I found it interesting how you said you could look at it two different ways from the backpacker perspective or the move perspective. I think that no. I know that the backpacker perspective is something that I've daydreamed about, but never really done on my own. Um, it has not prevented me from experiencing a similar kind of restlessness as you, though. So in my case, it feels like it's been somewhere in between. So even now,
mm,
yesterday, I was with some friends and I was talking to someone who I haven't seen in a while. We caught up. He's from like the US also, and I met his son. He was introduced me to his son. He's like, so, Pirate Mike also came from the US. But now
mm,
you're here, and you're here for good. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I mean, my stay here is indefinite, but I don't see this as the end of my moves, right? It's just
mm,
longer term moves. I mean, even when we were stateside, uh, there probably were a couple times where I was like, I think we're going to stay here like for a while, like a long time. But there's always this idea of like another move. So I hear you on the restlessness, the logistics, things like money, how we're going to move there. Is there going to be a place to stay? Like those things are also in my head. But the general theme is um, this is not the place where I'm going to stay from now until I die. And I do have to say that I have a lot of friends who they just don't think that way. Like they've settled, you know?
yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting topic, like in itself, like the I'm gonna settle here thing. Because when I backpacked, I had this big sense, especially the year before I really stayed somewhere, which is here for a long time in Central America, where I was like, "Ugh, I need to stop this, hostel to hostel, Airbnb to Airbnb. I need a kitchen. I need to rest." And it was really on my mind and it bugged me. And I was so happy to have a place for a while. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stay here for 6 months. This is amazing. It's been a year. A year is much too much for this recovered alcoholic to stay in one spot, let me tell you, because you want what you don't have, right?
Oh, nice. That's a
Because
good insight.
I wanted a kitchen. Now I have the kitchen. I'm like, I don't want a kitchen anymore. You know what I mean? But
Really?
no, I think there comes a balance. And I found out with traveling that I don't want to do the 3 days here, 2 days here, train, bus, 4 days here thing anymore.
Right. The pace
Like,
of it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say anymore, but for the foreseeable future, I feel like the staying in a place for 3 months and then another place for another 3 months, and that's also completely different logistics. It's
Yeah.
like it's easier, but also it's not, because like you're leasing stuff, so it's a whole different thing. But as you said, it's like I don't feel like I am anywhere near the moment to feel like, oh, I've arrived. I feel like it comes in like a short span of time where I'm like, when I came here, I'm like, oh, I've arrived in a place and it's safe and it's nice and I get to have my own little thing. And like the accumulation of stuff has been horrible. That's the worst thing about it.
Oh,
Like, it's
that
that you
bothers
can't,
you, the accumulation of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was with a backpack with like two, like like shirts and like two pants, and now I have all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, who needs all this stuff? Why do I need all these clothes? Um, but that's gonna be fun. I'm a pro at like, just getting rid of stuff.
That's actually, you know what? I can relate to that. So, for the past few years we've been living in a house and um yeah, I'm not going to put words in my partner's mouth, but for myself, like I don't really know how to furnish the fucking thing. I mean, I do in a way, but I'm used to not packing as light as a backpack, but being like packing light enough so that I can move from place to place. Like for a long time in California, one of the things that I appreciated about IKEA furniture is that I just felt like
Yeah.
it was as portable as I could be. Functional pieces that didn't take up a lot of space, and I don't really give a fuck if like it breaks and I need to move on from it. So now, living in a place that has bones and feeling like I needed to furnish it with something sturdier has been a challenge. I think in my head, right, like okay, maybe some like solid wood pieces that are going to stay there forever. And if I do move away from this house, then it'll just stay with the house, something like that. But it's a challenge. I'm not built for that either.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's hard, the stuff thing. I mean, it's not really hard, right? First world problems here, like too much stuff. Boo-hoo, look at me. I don't want to have that impression with people. But
No, no,
I
no, no.
just you get used to not having things, and now I have like too many things, and that's unnecessary, A, and B, it's gonna demand like sacrifices. I'm definitely gonna have 30 minutes where I look between this shirt and that shirt and like fully knowing that the illusion that I have that leaving a box here with this stuff, I'm never gonna see this box again. I literally got a text. This is actually a good story. I got a text from my former roommate in Tel Aviv. He's moving to another apartment,
Hmm.
and he has been keeping like two boxes of mine in Tel Aviv. He's also in the program, shout out. And he texts me, "Oh, we're moving. Like, what do you do? Do you want to do this stuff? Do you want someone to grab it?" And I spoke with my mom today, and I'm like, "Mom, do you think we can grab this thing from Tel Aviv?" She was like, "Yeah, what's in it?" I'm like, what is in it? Let me.
You don't even remember what's in it.
I have no fucking clue.
You've moved on.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's been 3 years. I'm like, well, yes, I could get the stuff, which is probably some, maybe a book and like whatever. I'm sure it's like clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
But like you have managed for the last 3 years without said stuff. So perhaps you
That's
don't
true.
need this stuff that you don't fucking remember what it is.
Yeah.
But everywhere I go, I still have the illusion when I leave stuff that, oh, I'm gonna see them again. I have left just a crazy amount of shit, let me tell you, all over the globe. I have stuff in Madrid, I have stuff in Italy, I have stuff in the United States. I have never seen them again, nor will I ever see them again, and I just need to accept it as a fact of life.
That paints an interesting picture, like your footprint across the world.
Oh, just not just the carbon footprint, just literally clothes and books. And I remember I went to a coffee shop in New Orleans and I had like books, right? That I wanted to just get rid of. So I was like, I went to a Starbucks, name drop, the
Yeah,
sponsor of
nice.
this episode.
Starbucks. Yeah.
Starbucks, it's a global thing. Anyway, I looked at the clerk, I'm like, do you like books? This is the most Israeli interaction in the world.
Do you like books? Not hi,
No, I
hello.
didn't, I didn't say it like that. I was like, are you a reader? Do you like to read? And she's like, yeah, how could you tell? I'm like, I could tell. And I gave her a bag of books. In that bag of books were a holy Jewish text called the
Yeah.
Tanya. If you know, you know. A Hebrew book, this in Hebrew. Another Hebrew book about prayer, about the power of prayer. A moldy big book.
You have a collection of moldy big books.
And like a Stephen King book.
Okay.
That was the books you got. Who knows where they are? Oh yeah, I leave moldy big books. That's my signature.
That's your signature?
That's
I
how you
thought I
know.
thought it was only in the Central America because of the climate, but apparently for some reason you got the world's biggest collection of moldy big books.
It's because I don't open the last 300 pages or whatever. But I no, don't laugh at me. I yeah, I left all the big books in a lot of places. If you are in a meeting, in-person meeting, and you happen to sit next to a an ethnically ambiguous person with a moldy big book,
It's probably you.
it's probably me.
I would love to see like the minutes from um like AA World Services or like the publishing company, whatever the fuck it's called, like their business meeting minutes during the years when you were moving around. Because I have this picture now of you just leaving big books here and there, and then obviously like buying new big books whenever you need it. And like some guy going, they're going, oh, a spike in sales, a spike in big book sales
And just the
in the
amount of
following
moldy big
European
book.
countries. Yeah, exactly. During this time. And it like tracks with your travel patterns.
You can definitely track me with the big book. I mean, I just feel like I'm not attached to the big books I leave places. Like I usually what I do is I write something like at the beginning of them. I have like a I'm not gonna say what it is
Is it a
because
letter to like the next recipient of the big
yeah,
book? Like a mysterious
yeah,
letter?
I'm lame. I
That's
am. But no,
so
and I write my
romantic.
name. I write my first name.
Yeah.
Um, but is it romantic really?
It
Maybe
is.
this is you know what this is the modern day Cinderella story for alcoholics. If someone finds the dedication that I said in like wrote in the big book, and you
Yeah.
find it, and you recover from alcoholism as a result, and then you find me, and we get married, and you have a nice stock portfolio, and everything is good. Yeah, this is it.
All the
Anyway,
conditions. Yeah.
yeah, that's all we need, really, right? No, the point is, what was the point? Is that moving is uncomfortable. It always is. I forgot how uncomfortable it is. I am thinking about it. It might be
Yeah.
happening, might not happen. The point is that it's always uncomfortable, and circumstances are never great. When they're great, I start to get a bit suspicious. Today, I found out how not great they are, how
Yeah.
uncomfortable it is. Perhaps that's what makes it real, but it doesn't matter because circumstances will always be there, good or bad. It's about how we treat them, how we work to improve them, how we, at least for me, how I react to what's happening and how I can show up for God and for my fellows in whatever it is that's happening. So,
Right on.
yeah, I'm gonna take my own advice. I'm gonna try and take my higher power and my freedom and fucking go. It's uncomfortable at times, especially because you get used to staying in the place and the safe space, right? But I
Yeah.
found that I always have a drive to go and do the thing and be uncomfortable and be in discomfort, and chase after the thing, even if it means, getting out of my safe space because that's what my life is. That's what I want for my life is to visit all these places and do all these things. So I'm sure I'll update what happened with that big move. I'm not going back home, not now, but hopefully I'll make a new home in a place I've never been at. So that can be really cool, I think.
That's so exciting to me. I'm so excited for you, just even that you're thinking about it because, we had that one episode where we explored our different takes on like the airport experience. And I think that this is similar in the way that because I have not um, been through the same kind of rigor that you have with regards to traveling, like it hasn't been like slammed moves like back to back that way. I can see the fatigue. Whenever it is, I start feeling like it's time for me to move on. The most challenging and like kind of depressing parts of it for me are trying to figure out the logistics of it, the when, the finance, the all of that, right? Or even
Yeah.
sometimes like I know that it's time to move on, but where the fuck am I going to go? Like there have been times when I don't even have a clear picture of that, and that makes me kind of sad. But
Yeah.
once the once all of that has been set and decided, and I can actually start taking action towards the move, I'm so fucking excited. I get
Yeah.
so excited up until, you know, because I have loved the few but notable times when I've relocated and just being in that new place, you know, starting anew, beginning another chapter, like in another place. Like there's nothing like it. I don't know. I
Yeah.
one of my heroes was my uncle who was very much a nomad and all his life. And I remember that I had a chance to see his house before he died. It was a small house, nothing fancy. And what it seemed to do was just kind of like serve as his launching point. Like at the time, he was in his 80s or something like that. And when I went there, you know, dimly lit house, kind of small, but just like all these little tchotchkes from all over the world that he picked up because he never stayed in even at home for very long.
Yeah.
And that was the repository. But he never stayed still. And I think that I've always romanticized that. And I want something similar, right?
Hmm.
There's always other places to go. There's another like there's a different flavor of the story to write. It's a matter
Yeah.
of when.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful. It's kind of how I would like to imagine things, down the road for me. I feel like we're- it's a very fortunate position to be in, to travel in general. Not a lot
Yeah.
of people get to do that, and I'm aware of that. And I feel like what you said about that you don't like the logistics and then like you get
Yeah.
excited, right? Like I feel like for me, really like the logistics, like it's part of the
Oh,
journey.
yeah.
What I hate is the waiting. Is
Waiting
the
for it to
waiting.
start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
waiting for the flight. That's the worst for me because I have this thing where I share with you, I don't believe when I'm excited about something, especially flights, and I have done this, right? This is not my first rodeo. I flew across the ocean. Like I've done the thing. I'm definitely like a what's the word? Like a seasoned whatever.
Hmm.
But when I do something that I'm really excited about, going somewhere I'm really excited about, I don't believe it's going to happen. Like up until the
Oh,
moment of the flight, I
fear.
yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm imagining it's what it is, or it's like just part of my personality where I don't allow myself. And even
Oh.
telling you that I'm planning to do this thing, it's huge for me because I don't allow myself to get excited. Maybe I'm scared of like the disappointment or whatever.
Hmm.
But I don't believe it until I do it. So the waiting, the waiting is the worst part of it all.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
What I wonder is
Yeah.
like if there's fear behind that, is it the fear of the just the personal disappointment or
Hmm.
like let's say, you know, you told me, right? And then let's say it doesn't happen. Is it also the fear of like then having to come back and tell me that it didn't happen? I have
Yeah.
equal parts of that.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's equal. It's more, yeah, you always want to be, vigilant with, just your expectations in general. But I
Yeah.
think it's more me and me being disappointed,
Mm-mm.
and me just, yeah. And it always happened. That's the thing. Like travel, it's just you get a ticket and then you do the thing. Like it's not, you just show up at the airport. And I had such a um like evolution around traveling because I had could not believe that I was flying across the ocean to get to Central America 3 years ago. Like
Huh.
I did not, I thought I was gonna die. It was a very difficult experience for me to get on the plane. When I went to the US for the first time, I remember vividly thinking like, oh, like they're not gonna let me in. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah,
When I
yeah.
went to Europe for the first time, like all these stuff that now I should probably be better at, you know, but I'm also not. I mean, I am great with the logistics of it, but I'm also not better at allowing myself to feel certain things. And I think that's just my personality, and that's fine. I've accepted that. But there's a sense that I also want to touch on that you said. It's when you feel like, oh, I want to start a new chapter, right? And it's a beginning of a new chapter. I don't feel like there's a way to know, really. It's one of those things where you just feel it. Like I feel it in my
Mm,
body. I'm like,
yeah.
like I feel it in my stomach. I feel, when I pray to God, I just feel like, okay, something is waiting for me there. And it never
Yes.
turns out the way I wanted it to. It never turns out exactly the way I planned it. Always the place I was going to sleep ends up being a different place. I always end up going to like another place after.
Okay.
It's never what I imagined because you cannot like plan, you can't know what's going to happen in your life, right? That if you know what's going to happen in your life, you won't be able to live your life. So it's the same with the travel, right? I'm not going to know what's going to happen with the travel. I won't be able to enjoy it if I will.
Mm,
Um, but it's the belief that whatever difficulty may arise in my life, in travel and in general, I have something to lean on, and I can maybe do it in the best possible way, in the best clean way, in trying to be the best version of me as I can. And that's amazing,
that is
That's
amazing.
a change for this alcoholic. Yeah.
I mean, same. I think that the change in attitude, since having a recovery experience, it does not feel as if I'm running away anymore. And that used to
Oh
be
yeah.
part of the operative, you know, um, part of that starting again because I want to leave everything behind. Um, but looking at it and experiencing it from the point of like, it's time to go, God's leading me to another place is very different, you know.
Yeah.
Um, there's so much more love in it now.
Yeah, I suppose it's the way to look at it. I mean, I'm not even gonna talk about geographics because it's not what it's never been about geographics. For me, I think it's just, yeah, what life I want to lead, and I'm gonna go to this place. What kind of people am I gonna meet? Could I do good here? And it's just, I feel like having gone through this process and having recovered, um, I was able, or I am able now, more and more to find the courage to be uncompromising when it comes to my dreams.
Oh, I love that.
Um, yeah, and just not, this is my goal. I'm going to work extremely hard for it. Everything comes with a price. Whether that's, working really hard to get the money, or getting on a 40-hour flight, whatever it is to you. I think I invented, I don't think there's such a thing as a 40-hour flight. If there is,
I
no.
was already thinking like, where is
Yeah.
this?
No, I think the most direct is like 16 or 18. But whatever it is, there's gonna be a price, right? Because if there's no price, if there's no responsibility, then it's not real.
Oh, oh, interesting. I'm gonna chew on that for a while. Yeah, like
Yeah,
after the recording.
yeah, after someone needs to go. But honestly, like that's what I found is that I'm not saying like a price to be paid. It's not that.
A
It's just like,
punishment. Yeah, yeah,
no, no, not that, but if you have not worked for it, if you have not done the process, if you have not, whether that process is again to get the money or to get to a place with yourself where you're comfortable enough to
yeah,
go on a plane 20 hours from where you're at or whatever, like it's not going to be real, you know?
yeah.
And that's the process. That's the true price, or the true freedom, or the true reward, is doing the thing. Because it doesn't matter to God if I go to New Orleans or if I go to Manila. It doesn't matter to God. I
Hmm.
don't think it truly matters. I don't think God is like, no, this will be horrible and this will be, those choices don't matter anymore because I'm not harming anyone with either one. you know? It's not about that. It's about doing the thing. It's about getting on the plane, doing the uncomfortable thing, working for the uncomfortable thing, and agreeing and pursuing the next chapter in your life, you know? And we talk about travel now,
Yeah,
you and I, but this can be any other thing.
right.
Starting a family, changing a job, you know, and we can do that through the grace that we have received, which is this higher power that is working in our lives, and we can lean on it, and we're never, ever, ever, ever alone again. You know, even if we're in a strange city, even if we're, you know, like so stressed and have all this work, and it doesn't matter. Can you tell I'm stressed about work? I am. I work hard. It's fine. Someone needs to edit these episodes, right?
Amen to that.